Hello, so today is Sunday and it is weighing day. This morning when I weighed myself, I actually went up by I think 2 pounds from last week. And my first thought at that time was, man, this can be really discouraging. When you're trying to lose weight, 2 pounds can really feel like a big win if you lose it, and then 2 pounds can also feel like a big loss, a big setback if you actually gain it. And I kid you not, immediately, just as fast as the thought of, wow, this can be really discouraging, another thought replaced it. And it was like, no, Kat, it actually can be a very encouraging journey when things don't go as planned. And of course, being the inquisitive person that I am, and sometimes we speak to ourselves, I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, how can going against the ideal situation, how come a different the different outcome from what I'm seeking be encouraging? And I realized that the reason why our failures, or for lack of a better word, can be encouraging, it's because it forces you to try different things, and it forces you to take a look at your journey, my journey. It forces me gaining those 2 pounds from last week actually made me I had to take a more candid look. I had to be more transparent with myself and see the areas that I need to improve in, and see the areas that work and the areas that don't work. Because at the end of the day, it really isn't just about the number on the scale. When I think back of my whole journey, because of course, even though I started this plan 10 weeks ago, the 17-week plan 10 weeks ago, my journey does not start 10 weeks ago. My journey didn't even start when I started gaining the weight. My journey didn't start, in fact, if I look back and I think of when did my journey start, my journey started when I became aware that there was an issue with the way that I was taking care of myself, or for lack of a better word, I became aware of the fact that I wasn't taking good care of myself as a result of my emotional states. You know, I was coping by eating instead of coping with my emotions. The journey even goes by further. Okay, what were the things that led me to have those emotions to begin with, those fears, those anxieties, that stress? What was it brought on? So my journey began far much further, far much longer than the 10 weeks that I've been on this 17-week plan. And so I can think of times when I was only paying attention to the number on the scale, and at those times I wasn't necessarily very healthy. Yes, the pounds were dropping. Yes, I was losing the weight, but I was definitely not being kind to my body. I was definitely not being I wasn't being attentive to my body's needs. I was just focusing, and I definitely wasn't being nurturing. There was no nurture. There was no love. There was it was just being done because, hey, you are overweight. I am unhappy with what I see in the mirror. I am unhappy with how I'm fitting in my clothes. It needs to change, and by all means necessary, I'm going to make that happen. And so began a cycle of harshness, of shame, of punishment even. And it's a very vicious cycle that leads to very destructive behavior. And it's a vicious cycle because, you know, anything that I'm doing, and I've learned since that when I'm doing something that's punishing, when I'm doing something that's critical, when I'm doing something that's unkind, it doesn't allow me to feel good. And when I don't feel good, guess what? I have to deal with those emotions. And how do I deal with the emotions? If the very thing that I'm trying to change is what I go to when I'm in a bad state, and I don't have the capacity to understand that the way that I'm going about it is the wrong way, I'm stuck in that rut, and it makes me feel powerless, and it makes me feel like this is never going to change. So thank goodness I'm going to skip forward, because this is all material that's going to take way too long to dive into today. So when I think about what it is that I'm doing differently now, is that I'm not focusing on the number. Back in college, for example, when I was not eating properly, when I had gone on a liquid diet, when I had even had a bout with bulimia and was throwing up after eating, yeah, the number of the scale on the scale was actually pretty cool. But was I healthy? No. Failure was not even to be considered, because that was the last thing that I could deal with. And at this point in my life, that's not where I am. At this point of my life, I decided to get on this journey, not only to empower myself, but to motivate others who, like me, want to live a healthier lifestyle and understand that it's about everything. It's not just about the weight. It's not just about how long or how fast it takes. It's about really changing and really emerging from an unhealthy situation into a healthy one. Something that I'm going to have to be working on, I understand very well, for the rest of my life. This is something that I'm going to be working on. And I understand that, and I'm okay with that. And so I'm not saying all this to excuse the fact that there were slide backs that led me to gain 2 pounds instead of losing 2 pounds. But I'm saying that the experience today is different from what it would have been years ago, because now when I'm able to see that, okay, things are not going in the right direction, I'm able to take a step back. I'm able to evaluate and say, okay, for example, with the for this past week, I know that there were too many processed foods, not enough vegetables, not enough water, not enough sleep, and basically even the exercise was sporadic. So I know that, you know, when I get back into those things, I'm going to see the results that I want. But I'm okay with doing, I'm okay with that gain, not because it's like not a big deal, but because it allowed me to take stock and it allowed me to go back. And that is a lot of growth, because that's not how it would have gone. Even to be able to come on and say, hey guys, I have gained 2 pounds instead of losing another 2. And mind you, that's after gaining weight, losing it, and then gaining 2 pounds again. And so this is a very public journey that I'm taking. But I did not want to make it painted into something like, oh, it's easy. I do stand by what I said. Aiming to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week is very attainable. It's very sustainable, and it is very healthy. However, in doing this journey and in publicly documenting it, I'm also showing you that there will be setbacks. I'm also showing you that there will be plateaus. I'm also showing you that even when you have the information, I have the information. I do this for a living. I help clients lose weight. I help people get better. I help people get healthier. I've spent a decade, you know, helping people get healthier in various aspects of wellness. Yet, guess what? I still struggle with it, because it is a fact of life that goals are not always attained on a straight and narrow path. There are going to be silos. There are going to be valleys. There's going to be peaks, and we're going to have setbacks. And I have to be okay with that, because otherwise it wouldn't be me keeping it real. It would be me painting a picture that I feel is very deceptive. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I wanted to, again, touch on, that the diet industry is filled of promises. Every time I have joined a plan, every time I've joined a diet, you know, I was full of hope, like, you know, this time is going to be different. This time I'm going to lose the weight. This time, you know, I'm going to reach my goal, and I'm going to stay, and I'm going to maintain it. And there's nothing wrong with the enthusiasm. There's nothing wrong with the promises, but I feel like it needs to be a little bit more transparent. And that's what I have vowed not to do with my clients. At the Wellness Palette, I want people to understand that this journey is going to be longer than any journey you've embarked on. It's going to be a little bit more unconventional. There's not a prescription. There isn't a potion, a lotion, a pill. It is not an overnight fix, because it encompasses far more, as I mentioned a gazillion times in this video before, than just the number on the scale. I don't want to look at my journey and say that what is on the scale determines whether I have attained a healthier lifestyle or not. Because as I just described before, I have weighed less than I weigh now. I have been, quote unquote, in shape. I have lost tons of weight. And when I look back, believe me when I tell you, I was not being kind to my body. I was not listening to my body. I was not respecting my body. I didn't even know what worked for myself. I had just jumped on somebody's plan, decided that I was going to make it work, pushed it down my throat, forced it down my throat, and then felt bad about it when I couldn't sustain it. And we see this over and over and over. And of course, when I felt bad, guess what? I reverted to my unhealthy coping skills, and it was depressive, and it caused me more anxiety, and it caused me more stress. And that's the thing that I decide that this time is going to be different, because I want to exemplify, I want to model, I want to demonstrate, for lack of a better word, how the journey really goes. So when I'm looking at my week, this past week, what were some of the things that caused me to be off track? Okay, was it fatigue? Absolutely. I'm still trying since the beginning of this 17-week plan. One of the things that I have struggled the most with is the discipline to actually get to bed at a decent time, to be able to wake up the next day energized, to have enough time to prepare my lunch, to have enough time to prepare my workout clothes, to have enough time to meal plan. It goes hand in hand. If I don't sleep well, I then end up with a domino effect, and then I end up having the opposite results of what I'm seeking. So that right there is key. Looked again this week. Guess what? Didn't get to bed on time. Stayed up watching TV. Didn't do so well in that aspect. Second thing is, I was talking to my cousin and I was telling her that no matter what plan that we are on, there has to be certain things that are taken care of. Example, meal planning. Example, cooking. No amount of healthy snacking, yes, even healthy snacking, can replace the nutrients, the sustenance that you get from a healthy, balanced meal. And because I have removed red meat again, because I have taken out poultry, because I have taken out dairy, I have to be very careful that those things are done. I have to cook, I have to plan, I have to, set aside the food for myself, because if it doesn't, because I'm so dedicated to not having those things, I end up snacking on the things that I do find that don't have dairy, that don't have meat, that don't have poultry. So guess what? I'm not even providing my body with the right sustenance to be able to have the energy to be able to carry out the things that I need to do, like the exercising. I can't exercise on an empty body. I can't exercise on low energy. I know better. I struggle through it. Your joints, my body is just like, ugh, this is too much. You're asking me to do way too much on too little calories. So right then and there, just sitting down this morning, thinking about all the things that I needed to pay attention to, thinking about all the things that I was doing wrong, I realized that, hey, I wasn't sticking to the journey. I wasn't sticking to the plan. I had slid back into the habit of not sleeping enough. I had slid back into the habit of snacking instead of cooking. And as a result, I also could not sustain a regular workout regimen. So I'm glad that I was able to do that assessment. I'm glad that I'm able to sit down with you and talk about it. And I encourage anybody who is on this journey, who is actually going through the ups and downs of weight loss, to take a moment to actually look, okay, am I eating enough? Am I sleeping enough? Am I managing my stress in a healthy way? Do I have support? Because I kid you not, being surrounded by people who are rooting for me, who are cheering me on, who are keeping me accountable, who are not judging me, but who are not allowing me to slack off either, is a huge, huge benefit. I don't think I was ever meant to do it by myself. And being able to have that accountability, that support, allows me to remain honest with myself and honest with the people that are supporting me. It's allowing me to come in and talk about this type of thing and letting you know, like, no, it's not a straight path. There are going to be setbacks, but it's okay because I'm taking the time to evaluate. I'm taking the time to assess, and I'm listening and respecting my body and realizing that it's much more about much more than just about the number on the scale, and that I need to take that time out to evaluate and to phase in the different things that I need to phase in. So I hope this is going to be something that's going to continue to motivate. I welcome your feedback. I am grateful for your support. I am grateful for those of you who keep me accountable and who are not judging. So if you would like to continue following my progress, if you would like to continue getting tips and encouragement, if you like what you've heard in this video and would like to hear more, please feel free to subscribe. Please feel free to share. Please feel free to like. I look forward to your comments as well. The journey continues, and you can continue to follow it at Kat's Wellness Journey. That's the YouTube channel, and that's K, the @ apostrophe S, Wellness Journey. So to your health and mind, I promised that I was going to keep it real. I know this video is a little bit lengthier, and I thank you for those of you who have taken the time to listen to it. And I hope that this helps, because after all, this is bigger than me. It's not just about me. I could have done this quietly. I could have done this, you know, without all the putting myself out there. But I really, truly believe that what I'm doing for myself is bigger than myself, and that I have a responsibility to show you the real side. You know, the struggle is real, for lack of a better word, and for, at the risk of sounding very cliche, you know, but again, you know, I promised it. I'm sticking to my promise, and I will post again midweek to give you an evaluation and give you an idea of the progress, and the journey continues. So please feel free to comment. I'll be on the lookout for your comments and your feedback. Thank you. Good night, and have a wonderful, healthy week.